Amy Volk here, and just wanted to talk to you a little bit about LD 1301, which is a bill that I worked with the Bicycle Coalition of Maine to get passed to improve biker and pedestrian safety. That's bicycling. And I'm here with Larry Rubinstein, who is the immediate past president of the Bicycle Coalition of Maine and also one of only 20 League Bicycling Instructors. Did I get that right?
That's right.
In the entire state of Maine. And Larry, why don't you just tell us what that means and what Bicycle Coalition of Maine is?
Okay, well, the League of American Bicyclists is the national organization that handles all of biking rules all over the United States, legislature in Washington and everything else. And they run a course where they train people to be bicycling instructors. And there are about 20 of them in the state of Maine. People who can teach bicycling courses, you know, in high schools and colleges for adults, for children, we have one of the great teachers for the national organization lives in the state. Charlie LaFlamme, who lives down in York County, and he was my trainer, and he's trained just about everybody in the state. But that's the League of American Bicyclists, and the Bicycle Coalition of Maine is the umbrella organization for bicycling and walking in the state of Maine in terms of legislation, rules, running events, all of those kinds of things. And it's a pretty big organization now for a small state of Maine. For example, I was just talking to the guy who is in charge of the Bicycling Coalition of the state of New York, which is, I think I have 14 or 15 million people living there, and they have the same size staff.
Wow.
So, and they come to us for advice on how to set things up because we do a better job than just about anybody. We're ranked in the top 10 bicycling coalitions in the United States.
That's tremendous. And you mentioned training, and a piece of this bill that we got passed was that it adds a training component for driver's ed. And why do you think that that's important?
Well, what's really important is for drivers to understand how vulnerable bicyclists and walkers are. And not just bicyclists and walkers, normal ones, but there are people with wheelchairs, people who are handicapped, people who can't see well, people who are slow. And it's important for people in cars, which are these 2-ton things flying around, to know how vulnerable we are,
right,
and to be able to ride with us on the road, because the streets are meant for everybody, not just for cars. And this bill that you got passed recognizes that fact, and it was very important for us to have this bill passed, and we were very grateful for the fact that you sponsored it. So it has changed the attitudes in high school. We now have courses in high school, not just for training for kids taking driver's ed, but also learning how to maintain and service bikes, so kids can come out of high school and get jobs working at bike shops as a result of this. Westbrook High School has a whole big program now that they're doing. So
that's wonderful. Westbrook does a great job with trades and their vocational technical center. A lot of great programs there. So right now we are on Eastern Road in Scarborough, and this is a route that both Larry and I know very well. I run it on a close to daily basis. And Larry, you bike it how often?
5 times a day, 5 times a week, 5 times a week.
Yep.
Well, I live right down here, so I have to ride on the Eastern Road extension. It was really this is part of the Eastern Trail. Down there goes towards Old Orchard Beach. Up there it dead ends at the Nonsuch River,
right,
but we'll eventually have that fixed, and we'll be able to go all the way to.
We're working on that.
Yeah, we're working on that. All the way up to South Portland, and this road is an important piece of that. It's part of the trail.
And there's a little bit of an experiment going on here with these. You can see the dotted lines on either side of the road, and it's caused a narrowing of the area that's intended for the automobile traffic. And can you tell us a little bit about this? I know it's based upon safe streets.
Right. Well,
or is it smart streets?
It's you got me there for a second. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But complete streets.
Complete streets.
Complete streets.
There we are.
Which is something that Scarborough has adopted, and there are a few other cities that have adopted. Portland has.
Okay, this is such a good example.
Yeah.
Because
this guy had to slow up, and this guy had to stop.
Right.
And we're in what's called an advisory lane. This lane was put here for just exactly what we're doing.
Yep.
So that we're not interfering with traffic, and they can't come zooming by as fast as they probably would like to, but it means that one car has got to stop while the other car passes us, and then the other car can go. And this is an experiment that's being conducted by the Department of Transportation of the state, along with the Bicycle Coalition of Maine. We've got about 6 of these streets set up around the state, and we're seeing how it works. What we know is that in this area, we've had much more bicycle and pedestrian traffic since we put this in, because people feel safer walking out here. And basically all it does is reinforce with these lines what probably happened anyway before we had the lines, where cars would have to slow up.
Well, or if they didn't, it was creating an unsafe environment. To me, it's a little bit of a reminder. It makes the pedestrians and the bikers and the vulnerable users feel safer, but it's also a reminder for cars that they need to slow down, particularly when they do see someone in these areas. And if there is somebody who is in the area on the side of the road that they are traveling, that they may even have to come to a stop to let another vehicle go by before they can then go around the vulnerable user.
Exactly, that's exactly what just happened here.
Right, and so that was perfect. We couldn't have planned that any better.
It was good. It was good.
And so there was another piece that my legislation did, which is sort of something that I don't even think I saw it on the Bicycle Coalition of Maine website, but the statute addressing bicycling and pedestrian safety was sort of scattered all throughout the statute, and
well, it was all over the legislation, all over the place. And what this bill did was it put it all in one place, which makes it much easier for us to explain to police forces what the rules are. And what used to happen is that the police force in Cape Elizabeth had a different idea than the police force in Scarborough, and different from Gorham. And now what's happened is that there's one set of rules that they all can read and understand, and it makes it much easier to enforce the law. And not only enforce it for cars, but also for bicyclists and walkers who have to follow rules. And it's very clear in the statute that was passed that we have to follow the same rules as cars. So that we have to ride on the right side of the road, we shouldn't ride on the left side, we should stop at stop signs. See, now here's a guy who's doing exactly the right thing.
Doing exactly the right thing. Thumbs up.
And that's what we have now. We have people doing this kind of stuff. And again, you have to stop at the right time. You have to obey crosswalks, all of that kind of thing. And by the way, the other thing that the law changed is it made cars stopping at crosswalks that people are in mandatory. It used to not be.
It was more of a you should yield.
If you saw them.
Yeah, and now it's if there's any indication that someone is planning to cross the road, and that's still a frustration. When my friend and I, when we try to cross Black Point Road, a lot of times, we'd rather not have to hit the blinking lights. But it's amazing how many people will see us standing there, and I mean, we're hard to miss. I usually have my very large husky with me, and they'll just go zooming by, unless those blinking lights are flashing. And even sometimes when the lights are flashing, they'll still go through.
I've had that happen. What I'm trying to do is convince the police that they should sit there at the corner and watch people. If they sat there a couple of times, people would learn that that's not something you do.
Right. And is it really going to destroy anybody's day if they have to slow up all of 30 seconds to let a vulnerable user, get safely through?
I think that I read somewhere that the difference between going 70 miles an hour and 60 miles an hour is 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the difference in time. So,
depending on where you're going. So Larry, I guess thank you so much. This has been great, and we hope that anyone interested will go to the Bicycle Coalition of Maine website. You can actually read all of the language of the bill that was passed, and it's been awesome working with you, and we'll continue to work to close the gap on the Eastern Trail, and
yes, indeed.
Hoping that that's successful. I know I've missed some meetings lately,
but we're close. We're really close.
I know we're close.
Our biggest issue right now is the wetlands up there, that we have to make sure that we don't violate the wetlands. And so we're working on all kinds of plans to put in the right kinds of bridges across the wetlands and stuff like that. But the Bicycle Coalition is very grateful to you for having sponsored this bill.
It'll happen. All right. Thank you.